Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to get these cards out, and then we're going to shuffle the Intuit deck and see what they have to add. And at the end, we're going to shuffle some cards out to find out what could be something coming up that people don't see coming. And depending on if they harness a more high vibrational Sagittarius energy or a more worldly or shadowy Sagittarius energy, we've all got our shadow nature. That's our more immature, prideful, egotistical, defensive, lazy, self-centered, egotistical, petty, envious, jealous nature. Some people have learned some lessons in life. They've kind of grown and matured themselves to not indulge themselves in their more shadowy nature. But some people have learned more of those lessons than some other people, to different levels of understanding about tempering your ego, right? And so some people could harness shadowy energy in that way. Some people are still just more caught up and inspired by the world, maybe more focused on their career than love. And the thing is, we just need to see the truth about who we're dealing with if we want our dreams to come into reality. And if you harness high vibe Sagittarius, which is about higher learning and education and looking at life as an adventure, you wrap your brain around those more immature ways of living life, knowing if you want to be in just and fair and authentic and balanced and type relationships, you need to be that type of person. Some people think they can just try to pretend they're that type of person and try to get in relationships with people who really are more the real deal. And then, eventually they'll find out the truth. But anyway, that's kind of what we're going to talk about. In the Intuit deck, we have manipulation, meditation. You exist infinitely beyond this universe. And the reason these cards came out is because of projections. So, we can all think that other people view life like we view life. And high vibe energy is about being truthful, honest, authentic. You are who you present yourself as being. Other people think life can be all about just creating this illusion about who you are and trying to manipulate people to get them to move forward with you in a relationship. And sometimes some people who are more shadowy might be kind of jealous and envious of people who are more emotionally mature or stable or grounded. They might try to confuse people about the truth of those people, kind of cast their negative traits and characteristics onto the high vibe people. So we'll see what's coming up. I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Ace of Wands. What are we motivated and inspired by? What fires us up? What's our passion? Some people, their passion is more about themselves, lust, greed, pride, ego, image. Other people kind of have tempered their more fiery nature to be inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. So, we start out with the Two of Pentacles. The reason it came out is because of the Chariot and the Nine of Wands. Let me tell you what the other cards are, and we'll just kind of read it from a high vibe perspective and a more worldly, shadowy. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. And the reason that came out is because of the Page of Pentacles. And then we have the Nine of Cups and the Ace of Wands. So, and then after that is the Death card. So, life's about going on these journeys in life. Sagittarius, going on an adventure. We go on these adventures in life. We come into contact with all these different people in the world to try to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And we meet these other people and we find out what drives and motivates them, what their truth is, what they think is just and fair. And then we have to decide, are we on the same page or are we not? So, high vibe people, the Two of Pentacles, can talk about you're maintaining balance. You do have your shadowy nature. You also have your past. You also have your hopeful, believing nature and your present and your future. And you're maintaining balance within yourself to not tip out of balance where you're indulging poor behavior in yourself or others. And the reason is because of love. the Chariot is Cancer energy. Out of love for yourself, the Chariot can also, and High Vibe talks about maintaining balance from a place of love. In the typical Chariot card in Rider-Waite, it has the dark horse and the white horse, kind of representing your shadow nature and your high vibe nature. So you're taking a hold of the reins to not let your more loving nature cause you to indulge people in poor behavior, or your love for indulging your more immature nature or worldly nature. You're trying to maintain balance within yourself from love. And in the Nine of Wands and Sagittarius energy, the Nine of Wands can talk about having good boundaries. In this picture, it has the door on their back, kind of like, not everyone can have access to me. And if there's people in the world who are kind of in shadow, the Two of Pentacles can be people who are juggling. Well, I haven't decided if I really want to do love yet. I still kind of go back and forth. And I can't decide, do I want to be more about me, or do I want to treat other people in a just and fair manner? Do I make decisions in hope and faith and belief in love, or do I get kind of caught up in being about myself for money or status or ego driving my life? Because shadowy Chariot can be that people are more caught up in looking victorious, and some people can't decide. I don't know, do I want to hang out with the people who are more about ego and image, or maybe would indulge me, or I could indulge them for those things, or do I want to do love? And some high vibe people are like, while other people can't decide and maybe try to present themselves as loving family people, but it could be more of an illusion they create. Because you're either motivated and inspired by love and you are emotionally balanced, or you're creating an illusion you're that, but you're really juggling. And high vibe people have already dealt with people like that, and they've moved on. To close out a chapter, after the 9 is the 10 of Wands, where you close out that chapter of a way of living life and with certain people in your life. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles. Both of them are Virgo energy, about taking slow, steady steps forward. High Vibe Virgo is about the truth. I have done this inner work within myself to see the truth that some people, shadowy 9 of Wands, Sagittarius energy, that some people are overwhelmed. They do have a lot of lessons to learn, or they are more inspired by themselves and ego and image and kind of being an immature person, male or female. And you've already been in relationships with people like that, or had bosses like that, and you have seen the truth. And you are invested in putting in work and effort to become independent of them. If we add the 1 pentacle to the 8 of Pentacles, we have the 9 of Pentacles, which in high vibe is about being more independent from your past, your more past ways of viewing life, viewing relationships, viewing yourself, viewing the world. You have learned lessons in life. You are moving forward in life to become independent of an old cycle of way of living life. And how are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Because of the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles in high vibe is about willing to be a student of life. Life is an adventure. I do come in contact with all these different people, and I have that hopeful, believing spirit. I don't operate as much from getting in my pride and my ego and my fear and my insecurity. I certainly could have, because we've all had to learn those lessons. And when I was juggling and I was more inspired by things of the world, that was me investing and putting in work and effort, aligning with my more immature, worldly, codependent energy. And I kind of got wounded living my life like that. And it could have felt overwhelming. All these things I went to go invest in, maybe when I was in more codependent energy, looking outside of myself for something to be the answer, looking to other people to invest in me and work with me. But the whole thing is, I had to see the truth that some of the people who came to invest in me and work with me, they didn't have that hopeful, believing spirit. And they could have just been immature. They maybe aren't willing to be a student of life. And they do kind of indulge your more immature nature. I thought we could just get in a relationship, or you could work here and we could work together. I didn't think it was about learning lessons and growing and healing and maturing myself. And then you kind of realize that difference, the way you harness your Capricorn and your Virgo energy and your emotional nature and your Sagittarius energy, your Cancer energy. Everybody can harness all the zodiac sign traits and characteristics in a more high vibe way, a more worldly focused way, or a more shadowy way. And we come in contact with all these different people, and it's like, are you juggling or are you maintaining balance within yourself? Are you loving or do you just present yourself as loving? Do you use your emotions manipulatively and your sexuality and your charm and your looks and your resources all manipulatively to try to get people to get in a relationship with you and hope they stay in a relationship with you for those reasons? Maybe liking to be in more codependent relationships? And other people were like, you know what? I try to maintain balance within myself. I'd love for myself. And I want to work together with other people, but I want to work with people who aren't operating more from their ego, defensive, immature nature. Who have hope and faith and belief and love. I have seen the truth. And I'm becoming independent of the people in my life who I know still are probably moving forward in life the way they live life and the way they view life. And I realized their truth isn't my truth. I did that inner work. And I did put in work and effort and offer love and encouragement to those people. But the way they wanted to move forward and the way they wanted to keep working together, I could have just viewed it as immature. Just like us at different times in our life. Could have had people move away from us because we were kind of more immature. There's consequences to our actions. And everybody kind of does this with people in their life. Do I think you're more immature? Do I think you're more worldly focused, indulgence focused, defensive, loving, not loving, have some self-awareness and self-insight, or you lack self-awareness, self-insight? And a light just came on. There's everybody in the world could be becoming independent of certain people in their life. You could be becoming independent of some people in your life. Those people could be becoming independent of some people in their life. Because we all have to we're looking for people who are on the same page as us. And then we have the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is Pisces energy about what we find emotionally fulfilling. In high vibe energy, it's emotionally independent. Feeling stable and grounded within yourself and knowing how to fill your own cup emotionally. To no longer be caught up in the illusion, tempted by your more immature worldly nature, being tempted by other people who are in more immature energy. Investing in yourself to put in work and effort to love yourself. Give yourself that cup of love. Give yourself the things you wish other people would have given you. To become independent of people who weren't investing in you, or their dream is different than your dream. The way they want to live life and what they find emotionally fulfilling isn't what you find emotionally fulfilling. And again, the reason is because of the Ace of Wands. So the Page of Pentacles can represent all three of the earth sign energies, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. The Ace of Wands can kind of represent all the fire sign energies, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Sometimes we get in relationships with people and we can love people. We can have people that are in our immediate family. We can have our adult children. We can have friends and romantic interests. And with those people, we can, in our world, what we're inspired by in the world, what kind of drives and motivates what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into can be different. With a lot of people in our life, it's not a big deal. Okay, yep, my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, my kids, we're all kind of on different pages of what kind of drives and motivates us and what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into and what we find emotionally fulfilling. Hey, you go do you, I'll go do me. We can have people we work with in a job and we're kind of all got our different things. We can still with a lot of those people, we can enjoy their company, we can work together with them, and that's fine. The death card is Scorpio energy about deep, meaningful relationships. Some of those people we're not interested in having a more involved relationship with. You know, we can even have our siblings and whoever in our life, and it's like, I can enjoy your company in limited ways or whatever. Do I want to hang out with you every day? No, because we're different. I accept that. We're different. What you like to go invest your time, energy, and effort into, and what you find fun and enjoyable is different than me. The problem comes up, it's more difficult if it's like a really good friend that we've had for a long time, or someone we've been hanging out with that we really enjoy, friendship or romantic. Then, then it's hard. We can we could get in a new friendship or a new relationship. And, sometimes we're not really kind of on the same page in friendships and romantic relationships. But, we're looking for people to be friends with. We're dating people, and we're trying to find out, do we want to keep putting in work and effort into this? Do we not? And we could put work and effort into it for a period of time or quite a long time. But then maybe as time goes by, kind of people want to go their separate ways and kind of become more emotionally independent. And sometimes we got in those friendships or romantic relationships, maybe when we were young, and then as we get older, our interests kind of go divergent paths or whatever. Or we could have gotten in those relationships because we were more codependent, like I'm looking for a friend, you're looking for a friend, and we can have quite a few things in common that we enjoy, but long term, again, sometimes some people come into our life for a season, some people come into our life for a longer time, and the whole thing is to try to find out, take the lessons that we learned. Sometimes if some people are moving forward with people in a relationship, if someone is more motivated and inspired to be more independent in the world, like I've done some of this work within myself and have freed myself from some of my fears, my insecurities, my past pain and heartbreak, and I could have done that during the friendship or relationship. Well, if one person did do that work to become more independent and the other person didn't, they're still in the same energy they were in when you kind of got into the relationship. The other person's kind of ready to move forward differently. The other person kind of wants to keep, enjoying their life and living their life the way they had been. And it's kind of like, now we're kind of not on the same page anymore. And then it can be sad that we're not the same people that we were before. And some people are sad that some people did work through those issues and did become more independent. Because if you work through those issues, you're not the same person you are anymore. The death card also talks about like death and transformation. I don't view life the way I viewed it before. I don't view myself the way I viewed myself before. I maybe didn't have a more hopeful, believing spirit. Maybe I was more immature before. But somewhere along the way, I kind of... High Vibe Virgo energy talks about looking at those things that we could not even know we needed to deal with, but something could have happened. Maybe... we had to do that work within ourselves. Maybe when other people moved on, when other people were living their life, and we can watch other people in the world, why do those people seem to be more bold or brave or confident or hopeful or believing, and why am I not? We can watch movies, we can read books, we can listen to music. All those kind of creative, inspired things in the world I associate with like fire sign energy that kind of makes us think, why am I not doing some of these things? And then we need to look at, do I kind of indulge my more immature nature? Am I more caught up in the world? Am I more codependent? Do I love myself? Because high vibe Virgo within all of us wants us to see the truth. High vibe energy in general wants us to be enlightened to the truth. Maybe there was some things that could have happened when we were younger or when we were children. We had these dreams of moving forward, but then, we all kind of get caught up in the world, and then we make our life so much about things of the world, and, shadowy Scorpio energy can be about being more caught up in the world and all those things, and not kind of getting more disconnected from that more hopeful, believing, intuitive, loving nature within ourselves. It's kind of like we've gone cold. And we can go invest in things of the world that we thought for sure was going to make us happy, and then it didn't. And when we go pursue those things and we were sure they were going to make us happy, this is going to lead to victory and happiness. I'm going to go invest in this, and I'm going to go live my life like this. And I am sure that is going to be like a dream come true and emotionally fulfilling. And then it wasn't. And then we have to kind of look, what was I missing? What truth wasn't I seeing? And sometimes the truth is, again, we can get in jobs, friendships, or relationships with people, and we didn't kind of realize that some people who we viewed as being on the same page as us and viewing life the same way we did, and maybe having that more hopeful, believing spirit, willing to be more independent, and they're not. And it's like, oh, or maybe they are more immature, shadowy Scorpio. They could be people. They don't have to be a Scorpio sun sign. It's just how they harness their Scorpio energy. High vibe people want to keep learning lessons in life. I want to go through my baggage, my fears, my self-limiting beliefs. I don't like those things manipulating me. I meditate on the truth about them sometimes, and I look at life from a higher perspective, and I put things in perspective, and I don't want to keep dragging those things with me. And if I've dealt with some people in my life that could have been more shadowy, we've all dealt with people in our life who are more bossy or controlling or immature, emotionally cold or detached, or more superficial and shallow, or more intimidating or controlling, or even narcissistic. And those people in my life could have made me feel wounded and defensive. Well, if I've encountered some shadowy or immature people in my life, am I going to let those people stop me from believing in my dreams? I need to offer love to myself to get not tipped out of balance about those things, and get balance within myself, and pick up is what the Two of Pentacles can be. I'm going to pick up my investment in that. I'm going to offer love to it to see it for what it is. Shadowy Sagittarius. I was moving forward with some people who harness some shadowy Sagittarius energy. They maybe weren't interested in doing this work within themselves to heal from their own immature ways of being or past pain and heartbreak. And so they acted the way they acted. They invested their time and energy into certain ways of being and living life that they thought was the answer and would make them happy. But if I know that isn't my truth, I don't want to repeat that old pattern. I want to pick up my investment in that. And I want to invest in my truth. And if I feel like some people weren't very loving or nurturing to me, we need to get out of that more codependent energy. We're not children anymore. We are supposed to, the Knight of Pentacles is working to become the King of Pentacles, which can be male or female, where you feel stable and grounded within yourself. You're like a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself. I am going to be a good parent to myself. I am going to be loving and nurturing and supportive and compassionate to my own inner child nature and my more immature, shadowy nature, so that we can move forward and be independent of the past and our more immature nature. And I'm inspired to do that because I want to transform my life. I want to not repeat that old pattern. And sometimes we can have people in our life, they haven't, the meditation card is reminding me of the Four of Swords, healing from past pain and heartbreak. But some people view being in a relationship, which is more codependent energy, that's the answer to me being happy. And so some of those people are still manipulated by their past pain and heartbreak, but they haven't seen that they could just look to other people in the world, like some people look to drugs or booze or gambling or sex or whatever, to be the answer. The answer lies within us. We need to work through those, offer love to the past so that it doesn't manipulate us the way it used to. So that to see the truth that we need to learn to love us. And some people we could have been in a more codependent relationship with, and they thought we would stay in codependent energy. But during the course of that friendship or relationship or workplace, whatever, we did this work to become more independent and inspired to change, and they didn't. And then they're sad. I guess we would look at the death card as Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. They're sad that you changed, because now you're not the same. And in order for them to move forward with you, they kind of have to do this work within themselves for you both to kind of be more on the same page. And there could have been, and some people are doing it right now, where people were inspired to become independent of each other. And some of you already did that, and relationships ended, kind of friendships ended, just because you weren't on the same page anymore. And then for some people, they're just going through that. For other people, once that happens, then it's kind of like going back through this, and it's called transmuting the energy, where you kind of have to work through it, because Scorpio energy does talk about our deep emotional connections that we had with people. And we kind of need to offer love to it so we can come to a place of peace about it and acceptance that I do understand, if it's friends and whatever, and they've got their life and they've got their family, and, we might have different dreams. We might find different things emotionally fulfilling now than what we did. We're kind of not on the same page, and if it was a romantic relationship or whatever that could have been moving forward victoriously and people were putting in work and effort. But then over time, it could have kind of realized that, if we're not inspired to change, and one person is like, I want to keep moving forward the way I've been moving forward. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to look at life any differently. I might have issues I need to work through, but I choose not to want to work through them. The truth sets us free, being enlightened to the truth. But some people can choose to stay in denial of the truth, and some people don't even realize why they do what they do. They kind of lack some self-awareness. And some people, they were willing to stay in it as long as other people kind of indulge them, maybe in their more immature ways of being, not having to be more emotionally invested, or we're willing to be shadowy Scorpio. It can be a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship. Maybe staying in the relationship more for the ego or the image or the status or the fear or the insecurity or the codependency. And eventually other people were like, I didn't know that's why we were in the relationship. I thought we got, so one person could have been more motivated by love, but the other person was more motivated maybe just to be in a relationship because they felt wounded or defensive, or because something else ended. And it was kind of more, well, so long as we can indulge in the relationship, so long as, it works for me, it's good for my ego and my image or my status, you're kind of willing to indulge me in my fears or my insecurity, or maybe being more immature or, manipulative. Everybody could have thought that everybody viewed life the same way they did. And then they kind of find out the truth that, oh, how you want to move forward in life is different than how I want to move forward in life. And then that's when, and right now, some people could be going through some endings in relationships. Other people are recovering from an ending, because I guess I kind of view these cards as also why the reading came out. And as we move forward in life, we could end one job, friendship, or relationship. We could go invest. And then the Page of Pentacles is just making small gestures to people, you know, to get to know people, try to see, hey, you want to hang out? Are we kind of on the same page? Because we thought it would be emotionally fulfilling and we wanted to have a new beginning. But some of the people we meet, it's kind of like, you know, just like we with other people, when people are like, hey, you know, we should go hang out or blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I'm not really feeling it, you know, and you can feel that way with different people. You know, some people can think, oh, I kind of think we're on the same page. And the other person's like, no, I'm not, you know, and we just have to deal with the truth of it. And, we can be sad that some of the people that we thought we would like to have like a new beginning with, that didn't work out. High vibe people keep dealing with the truth. I'm not going to get in shadowy energy. I accept the truth that everybody's where they're at. I can still be emotionally independent, emotionally stable and grounded and balanced and loving and hopeful and believing. I'm just waiting. You know, I have the people who are moving forward with me in my life, whoever those people could be, and enjoying people in my life. And I'm looking for other people that, you know, and probably offering truth and resources to other people in your life to move forward with you in that way. And some of those people are like, sorry, I'm still inspired to indulge myself living life at this phase of life. And I don't want, you know, just like when we were 15, 18, 21, 25, and throughout our life, we kind of view life a certain way and we live life a certain way to a degree, and we're motivated and inspired by certain things. And some people who could be 45 and they're both 45, one of them kind of emotional maturity wise might be more like a 30-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 15-year-old, you know? Because anybody can present themselves as a more stable, grounded, and emotionally balanced family person, but are they really? Some of them just want to be indulged in a relationship and want to get in a relationship just to indulge themselves, but they don't plan to grow or heal or mature themselves, or maybe for the relationship to go any further than this stage of life. And other people were like, I thought we were invested like in a dream. And then they kind of find out that they're not on the same page. So high vibe people are moving forward, offering truth and love, staying in high vibe energy, maintaining their balance, their independence, knowing their worth and value, accepting that some people aren't on the same page as them. And it's like, okay, well then it's to keep moving forward to find the people who are. The people that are in more shadowy energy, some of them can't decide if they want to do love or more about themselves or money. And if they're already in something where they've been if they've been moving forward in something with a more hopeful, believing spirit person, thinking they could indulge themselves in that relationship could be coming to an end, because the more hopeful, believing spirit person is kind of realizing it's really not love that drives and motivates them. If they're in a relationship with someone who is more about money and status and image, and they're in more codependent energy, some of them might stay in that relationship, because if they're both kind of, well, this looks good by worldly standards, we look victorious and successful, we both could be a more codependent, or we're both kind of more immature and motivated by these things, and that's why we look to get in relationships. So long as they still find it like living the dream life. It might not be based on love, though. It might be a more, well, I'm attracted to you, you're kind of attracted to me, we get along well enough, but we're not. And sometimes people get in a relationship and neither one really wants to be in a deep, meaningful relationship. And so long as it's working for both of them, they could keep staying in it. And both of them might be people who kind of gave up on their dreams of being more independent, or fearful of being independent of this relationship or being single in the world. And it could just be, I'm more codependent to be in a relationship because I don't want to be single. But the whole thing is, if people aren't in a relationship because of love, why are they in it? And if someone sees someone else that they think, well, that person has more of those things of the world that I want, I'll end this relationship that I had been moving forward with to go get those things that I make important in my life. Or if people are kind of immature and they've kind of been indulging each other, or if it's a more mismatched relationship and someone's having to kind of walk the talk and invest in kind of towing the line a little bit more than they like to, if they can find someone who they think, I think that person would indulge me in my more bossy, controlling, prideful, immature, I think I can offer them things of the world, and I think they would, and then I can start over with someone new until that person finds out about the truth of who I am. The people who like to be in codependent relationships, when the people they get in relationships with kind of heal and grow and mature and become more independent, they don't want to be in relationships with them anymore. Let me go find someone else who's maybe more, could have experienced an ending, who might be single, who might be inspired to want to get in a relationship, and I'll present my facade to them. Try to get them in a relationship with me. Maybe try to manipulate someone who's trying to heal. And as long as they don't see through the illusion, so this looks like a film projector trying to present an illusion in the world, I'll create my illusion with them. And, then as long as they don't see the truth of me, I get to indulge in this relationship for as long as it lasts. When they see the truth, well, sorry, got to end the relationship now. Nope, I'm not going to be more inspired, to be more independent of the way I indulge myself in my more immature nature, defensive nature, prideful nature, materialistic nature. I'll just go find someone else. And high vibe people want to be in deep, meaningful, authentic relationships, not in relationships with people who are more immature and self-indulgent. It's like the illusion of love, but it's not loving. It's dead. It doesn't give birth to anything new. High vibe people shed old layers of themselves to give birth to new versions of themselves. And there's some people in the world that don't ever plan to do that. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming up? We have the King of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Fool card, willing to take a leap of faith. And the Fool is also fire sign energy. I view it as Aries. And I view the King of Pentacles, like the Two of Pentacles, as Capricorn energy. When we're willing to be a good parent to ourselves, loving and nurturing and supportive to ourselves, that's when we've invested in the truth. Because otherwise we're looking for other people to play that role in our life. Won't you love me? Won't you be nurturing and supportive to me? Kind of like I depended on my parents to play that role. But the whole thing is, I'm an adult now. And there's people in the world that are looking for people who are like that. Oh, are you more codependent? Look, I have these things of the world. How about we get in a relationship? You be loving, I be indulgent. You harness high vibe Cancer, Sagittarius energy and Capricorn energy. I'll harness more worldly, shadowy Capricorn, Cancer, and Sagittarius. I still haven't decided if I really want to grow up and mature myself and do love. I might look like that type of person, but really, I'm just about indulging myself in it. I don't really want to do this inner work to grow up and mature myself. But I like people to view me as that type of person, so they get in relationships with me and marry me. And the high vibe people have already dealt with people who are like that, and they did this work within themselves to play that role in their own life. I will be the loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person in my life. That way, I can go on this new journey in life, pick up my investment in these old ways of living life and viewing life, and transform my whole life. And while you move on to like the next level of the video game of life, the other people are going to repeat this old pattern just with someone else. And they might keep repeating it with other people and other people and other people. And the other people who get in relationships with them go through this same process to decide, am I going to heal from my past pain and heartbreak to love and believe in myself? Or am I going to stay in a relationship that by worldly standards might look very victorious and successful and stable and grounded, but I could feel like it's stagnant? I could feel like I'm in a relationship with someone who indulges themselves. They're more driven by the codependency of just being in a relationship. Almost like it could be anyone that they could be in a relationship with if they're codependent. Or the money or the status or the ego or the image. And it's not really love. So it's an more emotionally shallow relationship. And those people are going to have to decide if they're going to stay in things like that. And some people that have gotten in relationships with people who are like that, just like you, are deciding, nope, I'm not doing it. And other people are like, nope, I'm going to keep doing that. It's like, okay, we all repeat a pattern until we've learned the lesson we were meant to learn, or it becomes so painful and like heartbreaking. And the death card can just be people who aren't just, aren't fair, aren't loving, aren't aligned. It's like death energy, trying to stop other people from loving and believing in themselves and being more independent. If they don't do that, they don't want other people to do that. And same way as you're moving forward in life, there could be other people. Some of them are juggling, want to look victorious, maybe not happy where they're at or the friendship or relationships they're in, that are going to come make you an offer. And I think the wands can talk about communication. But I think you'll be grounded. You'll get to know people. Try to find out what their truth is, what drives and motivates them. Are they more independent? Are they more self-indulgent? Are they more emotionally shallow and superficial? Do they want to do a deep, meaningful relationship? Have they looked at life differently? Have they transformed their life? And if they are, those are people you'll go on a new journey with. And for the other people, you'll speak your truth, and those people are going to have to go back and go try to find someone else to manipulate. And some of those people thought, oh, I'm sure you think like me. I'm sure you're juggling. I'm sure you're about ego and image. I'm sure you're in codependent energy. I'll try to get in a relationship with you. And it's like, yeah, no. I've grown up and matured myself. I'm not looking to indulge myself in a relationship more out of fear and insecurity, codependency, lust, or greed. Already been there, done that. It didn't work out the way I wanted. I'm looking for enlightened, stable, emotionally mature, loving, independent people who want to do a deep, meaningful relationship. And some of the people are like, oh shit, gotta go. And other people are like, yay, that's just where I'm at too. What's coming up for some people who harness some shadowy or more worldly Sagittarius energy? What's coming up for them that they might not see coming? Yeah, for some people, you know, we can all learn lessons in life, and we can all realize the truth that, wow, some of the people in my life that I maybe previously didn't even become friends with, didn't date, got out of friendships or relationships with, they really were more on the same page as me. And just like you can approach people, other people from your past could approach you. And high vibe people are like willing to, are happy if other people have healed and grown and matured. Some people can be happy you've healed and grown and matured. You can feel that way towards some other people. But some other people are like, sorry, I've already moved on and in a relationship with someone else. And I'm not going to take any more foolish risks. I've learned these lessons in life. And if people are in stable, grounded relationships with people who are independent, who allow them to be independent, you know, they're not going to take a foolish risk, even though it could cause them to juggle a little bit. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, and then they also, some of them, just like you moving forward, you approaching other people approaching you, everybody has to do this work to figure out what is my truth. Is the way I'm living my life and the people I'm hanging out with really aligned with my truth? Or have I gotten kind of on a off the path and it was more about indulging myself? Maybe I need to backtrack and take some time to think, you know, so people could be doing that. Just listen to your intuition if you think people are trying to indulge or being foolish, being immature, being egotistical and self-centered, or if they're being authentic. What's coming up for the shadowy, worldly people that they might not see coming? The King of Cups, the King of Swords, the Three of Pentacles, the Star card. Why? Because of the King of Wands. So the way I read tarot is the kings can represent how we're taking action in the world, and the feminine figures represent how we think and feel. Some of the more worldly, shadowy people could, the masculine cards doesn't have to refer to men, but it can represent how people are aligned with their more worldly, egoic nature versus their more intuitive, hopeful, believing, loving nature. So there's some shadowy people in the world that wear a false mask, like they're a loving family person and that they're these just and fair people and that they want to work together with people to bring a dream into reality because that's what they're motivated and inspired by. A little bit more about looking like a shining star in the world. I want to look more victorious and successful. Or it's more about me, and maybe some of the people I'm in a relationship with aren't kind of indulging me the way I want. But that's the kind of relationships they want to be in. Some people are more about themselves, and they try to get in relationships with people who harness these energies in a more high vibe way. Oh, look, there's a loving, just and fair and balanced person who has freed themselves from their more shadowy nature, has hope and faith and belief and love. I'm going to go try to get in a relationship with them. The whole thing is, shadowy, more worldly people can get in relationships with more loving people. And the loving people are motivated and inspired to do this work to try to bring this dream into reality. But eventually, the high vibe people in their life see the truth. I keep putting in work and effort to bring a dream into reality because that's what I'm motivated and inspired by. But you might want to move forward with me in a relationship, but it's kind of more about you indulging yourself in it, harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way. Like, yeah, this is great. You keep putting in that work and effort to bring this dream into reality. But I'm really more about me and indulging in my ego and my image, not really love. I'll have sex with you, and I'll use my emotions and my sexuality and all these things manipulatively because it works for me. And eventually the high vibe people in their life realize you're not inspired by love. And eventually the high vibe people get inspired to free themselves from people in their life who harness these energies in a more shadowy way. Shadowy Cancer, shadowy Libra, shadowy Aries. Because the high vibe people harness those energies in a high vibe way. And they want to work together with other people who harness it in a high vibe way. And so when people act in a more immature or shadowy way, there's always going to be some high vibe people that will eventually end a relationship with them. Because they want to be in relationships with people who are invested in truth and love. And some of those people are having that happen in their life right now, that some high vibe people in their life are kind of detaching from them emotionally. Locking the door. I am independent of you. I do not want a new beginning with you. I am not inspired by your ego or your image or your looks or your money. You can go give them to someone else. And what the worldly, shadowy people don't see coming is that eventually the people they're going to end up in a relationship with are people who are probably motivated more by the things that they're motivated by, who also operate more from their egoic nature, worldly nature, motivated and inspired to stay in the relationship because it works for them, it's good for their ego and their image, and that can be what's most important. It's just an emotionally shallow, superficial relationship where people they shut out being inspired in their fire sign energy to grow and heal and mature themselves and believe there's more to this world than just making their life about themselves or these things of the world. And I think eventually, if that's the most important thing to them, if they can find someone to be in a relationship with them that makes them look like they're a shining star in the world, like they've moved forward, like it makes it look like they've healed and grown and matured themselves, but they really haven't, and like they're more independent of the world or the past, but they're not. It's just to look like they're victorious and successful in the world. Could even be in relationships with people they don't love. But it makes practical, logical sense. This would make it look like I've done what high vibe people in the world have done. And I think eventually they'll realize that, they have all these things of the world maybe to indulge themselves in, but they don't have love. The other people are going on an adventure because they don't have to have all the attention. They don't have to have it be all about them. They don't need all the money and the status. When's enough? I have enough stability and security, and I have encouraging and loving and just, fair, creative, inspired, encouraging people in my life. Who knows what we could manifest together? Because we're in alignment with the universe of love and hope and faith and belief, and we're going to transform our whole life while some of these people keep staying in stagnant energy, different people, different places, different faces, but it's the same old kind of relationship dynamic that it's been in the last job, the last friendship, the last relationship, because they haven't transformed. They're the same person they have been in all the other situations. It's just that some of the people they're getting in relationship with, they don't know it yet. And some of those people might be on the same page. And if they're on the same page, it is a just and fair relationship. It's an imbalanced, unjust relationship. If someone knows that they're trying to trap and indulge someone who's a more loving, hopeful, believing person into a relationship where they don't plan to do love or grow or heal or mature themselves or be more independent. They're going to keep being manipulated to make their life about themselves or the world or codependent on some other people in their life. and that they're never going to become independent of. So there you go, Sagittarius energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.